Welcome back to the Bloom Daddy Experience here on News Radio 1170 WWVA. You know, here on the show, we talk a lot about parents. We talk a lot about kids. We also talk a lot about risks to our kiddos here right now. And the internet is a big topic of conversation. Well, recently, back in the headlines is the virtual game Roblox. Joining us now, we have attorney and author Jody Neal to talk about what is happening and how to protect our kids. Good morning, Jody.
Good morning. Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. So the spur of this conversation is the game Roblox. So I personally am not real familiar. Can you kind of give a quick breakdown of what the game is like?
Sure. Roblox is actually, think of it like a library of games.
Okay.
It's an app that you can download on your iPad or iPhone, and inside the app, there's lots of different games. A couple of really popular ones are Grow a Garden, and my daughters love Mermaid Isle.
Okay.
But that's not all there is. Also inside Roblox, there are children's games, but then there are lots of other games that a parent really might not want their child playing. For example, in the early days, I looked over and saw my daughter playing a game that had all these little people in orange jumpsuits. And I'm like, what is that? And they said, well, they're making things in jail. And I said, excuse me?
Oh, wow.
And it turned out the game was little prisoners making license plates and other things in a jail or prison work program. And so it gets worse from there. I understand that there are games that, really put the child doing crime, like stealing cars. I've also heard of games where there's violence on pregnant women and other types of females. So the games themselves can be really troublesome for a parent. Beyond that, it's access to the games and access to other users that are problematic.
Well, okay, so first of all, let's go back to some of the themes of those games. There are certain topics in this world that parents don't want their children exposed to. That brings up a whole other element of, our youth being exposed to things way beyond their age that they should be exposed to.
I agree. And, in the beginning, of course, I take a look, I have concerns, and I interrogate my children. And they're like, Mom, this is about a mermaid. It's Mermaid Isle. There was another one that was fashion. They loved I forget what it was called, but it was all about fashion and building your closet. And then, Grow a Garden was really popular. And so I had a little bit of a comfort level with Roblox at that time. But seeing little inmates building license plates from jail was a different conversation. And I had to talk to my kids about why a game is not why it's not okay to glamorize being in confinement. People who are making those license plates have been put there by juries or by their own choice and by their own crimes. And so I really wasn't prepared to have that conversation at a stoplight on a Tuesday.
Right. Well, now Roblox is facing at least 120 lawsuits from different parents across this country. One being a gentleman out of California who said his child was exposed to very adult-like contact, like we were just talking about. But then now there are predators who are using this platform to make connections with our children and grooming our kids. How do parents protect themselves and their kids from this?
My child. I didn't find out about it until a couple months had passed. I was just having another internet safety conversation with my kids and learned that someone named Otto had started talking to my daughter in one of the games. I think it was Grow a Garden. And my understanding of their conversation was it didn't end up in a bad place. And to that, I'm grateful. But he was definitely asking questions about, not and saying stuff like not telling your parents, and that is such a massive red flag. my understanding is that perpetrators are able to locate children and conversate with children through either the chat, but also they're able to actually talk in the game. And so I was not able to preserve the communication because they had only been talking in the game. And I only, I have my daughter's account of what happened, and I believe her. I trust what she says, and I really wish I had a copy of it myself. And I don't know how I would get that aside from having subpoena power, which is where this lawsuit comes into play. Right now, the MDL, the panel on MDLs, a multi-district litigation, it's going to be a federal litigation that is consolidated, meaning all the cases are grouped together. And the best plaintiffs' attorneys in the country are a part of it, including Mark Lanier, who's famous, and he got that verdict in L.A. a few weeks ago against Meta. So it is really serious. Children have traveled to meet perpetrators who have found them on Roblox. They've not only traveled, but traveled and perished. It is an absolute place where predators find children.
Wow. Again, we're talking to attorney and author Jody Neal about Roblox and then access to our children through these platforms. We have about a minute and a half left. So for our parents out there listening, you already mentioned the way they talk to our children. What are like 3 signs that parents really need to pay attention to for their kids that these perpetrators are using?
I would of long periods of silence.
Okay.
I've learned that when I'm feeling, oh gosh, it's so peaceful, that's when I need to check in with my kids. Because it's those long periods of silence when the perpetrators are most likely to have found your child. Perpetrators are like other criminals. They are trying to get in and get out without being detected. They want to obtain whatever it is they're seeking in that moment without leaving evidence behind. And so time is of the essence. If their child starts acting strangely, if the child is yelling at the parent for inquiring or yelling if their time is up, then that's a red flag. Take a look at that chat. And if you're able to implement some sort of child-friendly surveillance like Bark, any tool I think you can get to monitor what your child is doing has to be deployed. And, vigilant parents will still struggle with this. But it's the parents who don't have the bandwidth to do what I'm saying that I fear for the most.
Very good points there. And I just want to tie this up by saying that Roblox has recently mandated an age verification. Is that enough, do you think?
No, absolutely not. And they've said that they've done things at various points, and nothing has protected the children so far. In fact, I think there's even a Roblox whistleblower who said that they actually chose not to program it for child safety.
Wow, that's a very staunch allegation there. But Jody Neal, thank you so much for your time this morning. I really, really appreciate it. Important information for parents out there.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you contacting me.
Yes, we'll talk again soon.